after he died, and while everyone else was running stories about his brilliance and significance, the provocative website Gawker ran this headline: "One item excluded by respect for the deceased involved corporate philanthropy. In Apple as Steve Jobs ran it. There wasn't any."
Apple. Market value, $222 billion US. Think different, it urged us in its ads, aligning itself with Gandhi and Martin Luther King. Apple CEO Steve Jobs scrapped all corporate philanthropy in 1997. Apple may be no more guilty than its peers, but its peers didn't co-opt Gandhi.
This is from the Stanford Social Innovation Review. It feels like Apple has been on the cover of every newspaper and magazine this month. People gush about how much they love their iPod and admire Steve Jobs and his company. Yet very few people ever talk about the fact that Apple is one of the least philanthropic companies in America. To my knowledge, there is not one nonprofit that has received any kind of Apple product discount or donation. Apple doesn't give out any grants to nonprofits. Apple's stock soared 26% last month, and it ended the second quarter of this year with $12.6 billion in cash. Why isn't it giving anything back? This is from the website of a grassroots activist, Rosa Cortez. "I have always been first in line to buy Apple's products. In fact, this blog is being written in a MacBook Pro. Back in February, I was helping a board of young professionals put together a benefit event for a local organization in NYC. Although I could not find any information online, I went ahead and wrote a letter with budget and proposal included to Apple asking for sponsorship. To this date, I have not heard from them. How come a company with revenue of $15.68 billion does not support social causes?" There are two kinds of responses to this ethical challenge leveled at Jobs and his company. The first is that corporate philanthropy is wrong in itself.
And also the obligation to your shareholder. And you bring up an interesting point. When a company gives to a charity, aren't they stealing my money from me if I'm a shareholder? Why shouldn't I be the person that decides who gets the charitable donation? And why pick one charity over another? Isn't that unethical as well?
Yeah. A distinct response comes from the National Review author Kevin Williamson. Instead of claiming that corporate philanthropy is intrinsically wrong, the argument here is that the company's social contribution is composed of its innovative products and measured by the company's profits. Jobs was sometimes criticized for not being a philanthropist. Mr. Jobs's contribution to the world is Apple and its products, not some Steve Jobs Memorial Foundation for giving stuff to poor people in exotic lands and making me feel good about myself. Because he already did that, he gave them better computers, better telephones, better music players. In a lot of cases, he gave them better jobs too. Profits are not deductions from the sum of the public good, but the real measure of the social value a firm creates. Those who talk about the horror of putting profits over people make no sense at all. The phrase is without intellectual content. So, corporate social contributions can be measured in terms of product innovation and jobs instead of money donated. Finally, this vision of social contribution understood as products offered for sale is everywhere in this ad for the iPad. The message isn't only that the iPad lets you do things, it's also what things it lets you do.
Are you curious about new ideas? Do you want to learn a new language? Maybe you want to know more about anatomy or astronomy. There's never been a better time to learn.
In the end, it's true about Apple as Steve Jobs ran it that the iPad facilitates learning. And it's true that the iPad nets Apple shareholders billions of dollars. And it's true that the cash the company donated to philanthropic causes was vanishingly small.